Hey everyone, welcome to the RNA podcast. We're doing best of 2016, as said by us, because our opinions matter, and that's all we care about. With us today... Yes, we do, damn it. With us today, we got Becker, who just fucking said that comment.
How about them Dolphins?
Oh, man. We also got Faith Steele Taylor.
How about them Steelers?
Fuck the Steelers.
Oh, God. Come on.
Hate us cause you ain't us.
Did you just say anus? Like, that's disgusting, dude.
So defenseless.
Okay, we also got Shocking.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
You know, there are also girls watching and listening, so that's very, man, SMH.
Yeah, we're not family friendly anymore. God damn it.
No more spicy chicken.
We're pretty toothbrush, TBH.
I watched that yesterday.
Oh,
With
how do
your
you feel?
shiny teeth in you.
I'm not... Well... I'll talk about it later.
Guys, we have to introduce...
Yeah, okay.
Who
Yeah,
watched it yesterday? Boom,
the person
Smurf.
who was about to
Smurf
talk about watching it is Smurf, yeah.
Yeah, I watched it.
Do you understand the show now?
It all makes sense. 10 out of
That's
10.
the peak of the show.
Like, absolute perfection. Nisio Isin is basically Jesus.
Basically.
Basically? What do you mean, basically?
He literally is.
What do you mean pretty good?
What is this essential shit? Like, he is or he isn't?
I didn't say essential, I said basic.
Well, that's kind
You're
of
basic.
Dude, oh.
Wow, that's pretty low.
He just called you a bitch.
Okay, and finally we have me, Random Dude Man 12. Yeah.
Why the 12, though? Were you 12 when you made it? Or, like...
Just fuck
No,
off.
he's from Seattle. He's a Seahawks fan.
Oh,
He's
God.
the
That's
12th
even,
man.
that's
12th
even
man.
worse. Wait, but...
I was waiting for you to say it.
But wait,
Say
if
it.
he is a Seahawks fan, then he is 12.
Oh, true.
Ooh!
Snap.
football.
No, he's like 14 now.
That's true.
God fucking
Yeah, you're
damn it. Okay, whatever. We're going to talk about our favorites of 2016, because it was a pretty alright year. Would you guys say so?
I liked it.
It's like literally every other year.
Who's 2016?
Okay.
Oh man, nice joke. 10 out of 10. So
This year was about as
Yeah.
toxic as our pod has been so far.
Honestly.
yeah. So yeah, let's talk about our favorites. Starting with one that's actually currently airing. Not current. Well, currently from when
The
we
second
recorded.
season is airing.
Yeah, from in winter 2017, and it aired in last year, winter 2016. Rakugo. This was an amazing anime focusing on something a little bit more unconventional. I actually hadn't even heard of Rakugo before watching this, and it was captivating seeing this art form. So what do you guys think of it?
Dude, like, Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju was such an incredible show to watch airing last season. Just because usually when winter comes around, and having watched like airings for a couple years now, winter season isn't usually, the peak of the year. Usually just kind of like work your way into it, and usually you get the big ones in spring, summer seasons. But Rakugo started off with an incredible first episode, which was 45 minutes long in the director's cut, which has been partially translated by Reddit's own Spirinix, was absolutely enthralling. And the best part about it was each episode was kind of its own Rakugo performance, and for those of you who don't know what Rakugo is, it's kind of like their form of a one-man storytelling stand-up routine, I think is safe to say.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, each week we got that one performance, and what was nice is, while it's also a nice binge watch, it's one of those shows where, like, you kind of want to let it sit for a little while to think of it over, and every note it hit, it was just so perfect and well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's honestly true. That beginning of the show, like seeing that the performance, it was totally new for me. Shaw, what do you think of it?
Yeah, so I didn't watch it airing. I heard a lot about it from Fate and like the subreddit. And I remember like thinking like, okay, I gotta check this out. And then I heard, like, you know, as the year goes on, you kind of expect a show to kind of, like, lose some steam. And, you know, you get, like, other people to watch it, and then you get mixing opinions. But I noticed with Rakugo, it was pretty much unanimously acclaimed by everyone who saw it, whether they were, like, a huge action fan or a slice of life fan. So then I finally checked it out, like, 2 weeks ago, and I was, like, really blown away. Like, I expected it to be pretty good, but I wasn't expecting it to be that good. And I think it kind of, like, snuck up on me with just how amazing it was from, you know, the small details, like the different cinematography directions they would take with it, the characters, you know, just how interesting they make Rakugo. You know, I don't think it's something that's really intuitively interesting, but the fact that they were able to make it something that was really engaging and, like, kept me on the edge of my seat. Like, I binged it in pretty much a night, and it was a really great experience. And then the ending of the first season was just, like, absolutely, like, crushing. Like, it stuck with me. Like, I keep thinking about the last episode a lot, and it was just, like, really hit hard. So it's really great to...
Those last 2 episodes.
Oh, yeah, that was brutal. Like, those last 2 episodes were brutal in a way that I didn't really think they would be. But it makes the season 2... I'm glad I can watch it airing this season, and based on the first episode, it seems like it's just picking up right where it left off, like, the same quality level. It's still really intense, but in subtle ways. So I'm excited for it, and it was definitely a great watch.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You mentioned earlier that you weren't expecting it to be good, and I think that's a lot of it was attributed to the fact that this was produced by Studio Dean, who had
looks
been
really fucking good.
The target of a joke, like,
For years and years and
so
years.
long.
Like 10 years.
About
easy.
Since the first Fate Stay Night.
Yeah, 2006, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's been literally over 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put out this show, and it's been amazing. So that's
it's really cool to see how Studio Dean reshaped their entire philosophy. Like, they went out and got some big name directors, took a chance on some smaller niche kind of material. Like, Rakugo was done by a very popular kind of BL mangaka, but it's her only, funnily enough, non-BL work. And Konosuba was, like, popular and was, like, well loved, but it was also, like, kind of a niche parody of an anime, and it only also got 10 episodes. I mean, I know I'm speaking a little early for that, but it's really interesting to see how, like, Dean has really reshaped itself, and even though Rakugo was widely and critically acclaimed, it didn't sell much, and yet they still funded a second season for it.
Yeah, Dean saving anime,
Dean
guys.
finds a way
They find a way.
to make second season.
Smurf, what did you think of Rakugo?
I didn't watch it.
That's right.
Wow.
Universal acclaim.
Like,
One thing that I noticed.
Universal acclaim.
One thing I noticed, you guys mentioned. Shaw mentioned that, or somebody mentioned that it was interesting that they took a show about Rakugo that no one's like, which is like something no one's ever heard of, and made an interesting show about it. That seemed to be like a theme for 2016. Like, we had like Fune Woamu had it, and that was just a show about dictionaries. We have a show about figure skating. We have a show about some long lost, not long, I guess not lost, but some like old time like theater like thing. It's just like a bunch of like weird like settings you would never expect to be entertaining in any way that are actually ended up actually being pretty good.
We had a show about people fighting with their butts. I mean,
Dude.
2016
But he
found
said
a
things
way.
that people don't find interesting.
Yeah, I think we just don't find interesting.
Yeah, I think, and they address it too in the show Rakugo, how Rakugo as a form has been changing. And one of the things I really loved about Rakugo too is, like, the show itself was like a Rakugo performance, because when people go there, pretty much people already know the whole story, the gist, and the lines, and they're there to see the execution of it. And with the first season of Rakugo, it's told mostly as a flashback. So
it's a pretty long
one person,
flashback, too.
Right,
Like,
what I
usually
heard. It is.
there's a flashback arc, and they go and it drags on. Like a good example is like Tenjo Tenki, if anyone's heard of that show. Like, literally 2/3 of the show is a flashback arc, and it drags on, and it's super uninteresting. But for Rakugo, I've only seen 7 episodes, but it still like keeps me like interested, despite being a long flashback arc.
Yeah.
The whole show is a
And
flashback, right? Is that how?
Yeah, it's a flashback.
season 1, except for parts of most of episode 1 and most of episode 12.
Oh, okay.
But everything else in between is a flashback. And what's really crazy is like you know what happens at the end because you've been told in the first episode.
Yeah.
So like you kind of have that in the back of your head. It's really good.
Becker, what are your thoughts on the show as a whole?
I really, it's probably my favorite show besides Luluco this year. I really like one thing I really like about the show is the voice acting. It's like seriously on point. Like, I like how all of the women sound like actual like Japanese women almost. Like they don't have like super cutesy voices.
Yeah.
Like they all sound like this takes place in like the 30s or 40s, right?
Yeah.
It takes place like 40s, 50s,
Post World War II.
60s. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They mentioned World War II,
and it
in the
sounds like
flashback.
it's from a very like a while ago. That's what it sounds like. Also, the Playboy character sounds like an actual like Playboy. That's great.
Yes.
Somewhat,
I could listen to his voice all day, honestly.
somewhat fun fact, if you're interested in VAs, the main character, Bon, his VA is Ashira Akira, and he's mostly known for being in Gintama as Katsura, and then he was also, what's his name, Fate, in Evangelion?
Kaoru in Evangelion.
Evangelion.
And he delivered like Kaoru's performance in one episode of Evangelion just like lingers and stays with you.
Yeah.
And they're all completely different characters too.
Yeah, and then the voice actor you talked about, Becker, he was actually
For
Spike.
Sukeroku.
Yeah, he was Spike Spiegel in Cowboy Bebop, and he was also
shit, really?
yeah, he was also Kaiji in Neon Genesis. And since we're at it, the main female character, Miyokochi, she is voiced by Fate. This is killing me, but she's voiced by the same voice actress who played Rei in Neon Genesis and Faye in Cowboy
and
Bebop.
Faye
So they're
in
all,
Cowboy
like,
Bebop.
really
So
old, well-established voice
Yeah,
actors.
so it's just
Yes.
like another way that Dean is reaching out and going beyond their normal formula and reaching out and getting very well established people to work on this show.
They're
was
getting
really
very
nice 'cause-
specific people for like this show, not
Yeah.
just like let's get a big name voice actor because
Yeah.
people will watch.
Hey
it
guys,
now.
let's just get Yuki Kaji to play
let's
somebody.
just stick Hanakana somewhere.
let's just
Have
Saori
Goku
to voice
voiced by
someone.
Hanakana.
Is that still a thing? Is Hanakana in every anime still?
Hanakana's in a lot. Yoko Hikasa, who did Mio most famously, and Keion is in a ton. Hayami Saori, who did what's her face? Snow White with the
she
red
was,
hair. She was Akagami.
Shiryuki, and she was Shinoa.
She was Shiryuki,
from
and she was also
from Warrior of Seraph. She was the Smug Dere.
She was
and then
Reina
she's
in
also
Phantom
Yeah.
and she's also in Kono Katachi as the main girl there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to
She's
that.
the
Also
deaf girl, right?
She's also the main girl in Bakuman.
Also, the main girl in Amamato Anazuma, Sweetness and Lightning.
She's
So
the main
yeah,
girl,
so
right?
a lot of these people have
She's
like
one
the
of
same voice actors. But they reached out specific, and like Kaji, I mean, he's a great playboy in Neon Genesis Evangelion, but like you can tell like there's some darkness to him, and that's kind of the same vibe that Sukeroku brings. And Kaoru was all sorts of like sultry and tempting in Neon Genesis Evangelion, and that's kind of the look that what's his face? Bon is looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. You kind of have to get like specific voices for a show about like performing with your voice and telling a story.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but like they seriously like really, I don't know, they
Knock it out of the park.
they went they knocked it out of the ballpark. It was a home run.
It was a spicy
So-
chicken.
You know,
Oh my god, Fate.
Well,
nobody's gonna
Please stop.
That is
Nobody's
the
gonna
end,
get that.
That's the end of Rakugo. Fate, you ruined it.
Yeah.
You
Um,
ruin it with your spicy
so-
chicken memes.
So we can move on. So someone mentioned, like we were talking about how Dean
Saved
reached out
anime.
and did
Dean
did
saves
those things,
anime.
and they had another show the same season last year, which is Konosuba.
Yeah, it's interesting how they
Konosuba.
like changed their reputation, like that.
And they did it
fast.
amongst like both like did it both amongst like casuals and like elitists. Like they got their elitist show and then they got their casual show, and they got both of them going full steam ahead. Like they covered all bases with this.
They also have their obscure show
It's
that
kinda crazy.
no one's ever heard of, but we won't talk about that.
And then they did like nothing for the rest of the year. Which
Yeah, they're like, we
did,
good.
No, they did Sakamoto.
They did super.
So they
Lovers,
did
too,
nothing
if I
for the rest
remember
of the
Did
year.
correctly.
Super Lovers?
they tried that formula again. It didn't quite work out the
Yeah,
second
Super
time.
Lovers is actually an underrated
speaking
show.
of
Super
formulas.
Lovers. Super Lovers is getting a second season that's airing right now. So
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I
Let's
did not
talk
know
about
this.
Konosuba.
Yeah,
guys.
so we'll go with
Let's-
This actually, because Konosuba actually does have to deal with formulas and how to fuck them up in a really funny way.
Yeah, so Konosuba is like a parody of the isekai genre, like Trapped in Another World. It's actually a parody of a show that wasn't even out yet at the time that Konosuba aired.
Yeah, because the author for Konosuba is a good friend of the author of ReZero.
Right.
It's any kind of parody of ReZero.
It's a parody of
Bro,
ReZero.
I got you.
It's a parody of ReZero, and it got an anime before ReZero did.
Yo, what about cucking someone? Like, he just cucked his friends. Like, yo, I'm gonna make fun of your show before it even comes out. Such friendship.
The ultimate cuck.
Ultimate.
Well, it didn't seem to affect it too much, but yeah, Konosuba was interesting. I didn't know what to expect from it at all. I saw like the pictures for it, and it was like, oh, Kazuma gets trapped he dies and gets trapped in another world with like a goddess and like other people. I'm just like, that sounds awful. And it's from Dean. That sounds terrible. I'm not even gonna watch that. And then I just happened to watch the first episode when it came out, just to see what would happen. And I actually I liked it a lot. I thought it was great.
I almost cried laughing at that first episode.
Was the one with the pause thing at the middle of the episode, right?
Yeah, I guess it just paused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
and
really
then
cool.
there's the one where like they keep going out and drinking, and like my favorite, one part that stay with me is like Aqua vomiting rainbow colors and like Kazuma like holding back her hair. And I'm like, this is so real.
Yeah. So
Wait, you vomit
the first episode of no, he has people hold his hair back while he vomits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like in college when you're vomiting, but it's in a game world.
That's fam looks out for fam.
So I thought Konosuba was very surprising. I had issues with the middle section. I didn't like a lot of the comedy in the middle, but I thought it started and ended really strong.
I actually would say not opposite, but I actually thought I saw the first episode when it was airing, and then I was like, oh, this is funny, but I don't really care. And then I picked it up again later, and like getting through to the middle and then to the ending, I think it was like got funnier as it went on. Like, I think once they had the I guess I don't know if this is spoilers. This is like kind of not spoilers. Like, they had the one mission where like Aqua had to like purify the lake, and she's in the cage, and they have like she's in a cage, and they put her in a lake. And then there's alligators around it, and they just keep, like, attacking her cage. And, like, Kazuma and co. are just, like, chilling back there, and they're like, yo, like, if you need anything, let us know. And it just goes on for 5 hours. And it was just the funniest shit. Like, they need to...
Yeah, that was pretty early. That was, like, episode 2 or, like, 3 or 4. Like, it was still early.
I think that might have been... that might have been 3. I think it was 3, because that was when they had the whole gang, and it took, like, a couple episodes for the whole gang to show up. But once they got the gang going together, like, full gang is just, everyone's such a shithead, and I love it. Like I love
so
it.
A lot of my issues with it were like there was like a whole character introduction that was completely skipped. And so like they went to see that character and they were just like, hey, you're that person we helped with this one time we did that thing, and they're just like, oh yeah, okay. And I'm just like, what? Why would they? That's so dumb.
I
They
remember
just skip
that.
a chapter.
It's unfortunate that they had to skip material in order to like keep up the pace. I guess they had a target goal of where they wanted to end, and they realized that hey, we can't actually cover everything.
They could have skipped. They could have skipped something else, just not a character introduction.
I don't know. I don't feel like they needed to address the
in a show like
introduction
Konosuba, I don't think you need it.
They could have.
Yeah,
they could have. I mean, she has a point like in season 2, from what I.
But like they've already introduced her at this point, and she was also in the OVA.
Yeah.
You're talking about the woman, the Lich or whatever.
Yeah, like the.
That's right.
Lich.
Yeah, one of the people with huge boobs. One of those.
Yeah.
Not the main.
Oh
girl.
god, I will say
so
though,
descriptive.
one of the things I
Yes.
really didn't like about Konosuba was the succubus episode.
Okay, I was actually about to say that. Like, if they had to skip an episode, they should have skipped that episode and left her character.
Oh my!
left her
I mean, I'm
character
sure like that was a big hit for most people.
That episode
and,
was
like, that...
not good. It reminded me of that was basically what the OVA was too.
Oh, the OVA.
The OVA was just awful.
I didn't see the OVA, but I did see that one clip from the OVA where Kazuma was apologizing to everyone, and I thought that was hysterical.
That was
and that's the highlight.
The rest of the OVA is like
just
a 2 out of 10, but that moment like made me give it like a 6 out of 10 total.
I had to go take a shower after I watched the OVA. Like, I actually felt disgusting.
Whoa, Smurf! What were you doing while
Smurf,
watching
what?
the OVA?
No,
Whoa.
not like that.
Well, I mean, I guess I didn't find the, what's the episode? Like, the one where he's, like, at the strip club, essentially? I'm just calling it that.
Oh, the succubus
Yeah.
one.
Succubus one? I didn't think that was, like, that bad. I thought it was pretty funny and ridiculous, but it didn't, like, pull me out of the whole thing. Like, it didn't make me hate anyone. I thought it was still pretty dank. Like, it was just, like, cringe dank.
Oh yeah.
Like, it got a bit, like, Amanda Bynes for me. Like, cringy humor. But
I don't remember Amanda Bynes ever going to a strip
Amanda,
club,
please.
But, okay.
Amanda Bynes has prepared me for all cringe humor.
Bring out the dancing lobsters.
That episode itself, though, I think it's something that you kind of half expect to see, though, in something like this, just because it did want to go. I could tell, like, wanted to go full fan service at a certain point, but it was kind of like edging.
I don't think
line.
I needed to. That's what kind of took me. Like, I thought the humor in the first couple episodes I thought was really clever and great, and then when they just like resorted to like cheap fan service for laughs, it was like, this is lazy. Like the people they've proven they can do better than this.
I mean,
there are
apparently
people who
worked
like
for them.
fan
Yeah,
service humor,
there's a lot of people who like it. It's sold a ton of copies. That's why they were able to fund the second season for that, and probably those funds also help fund the second season for Rakugo. I don't think we can say like, oh, like this is above this. Like, oh, this show didn't need to resort to like using fan service, because like a lot of people really do like fan service. I don't think we should like be grudging of that. That's what they want in that show.
You can have clever fan service. I don't know if anyone here watched the Phantom World OVA. That had like
I did.
That was
yes,
really
yes.
clever fan service. I went into expecting this is gonna be a lame fan service beach episode, and they actually did like it was an episode all about like the bubble censoring.
Yeah, it was really funny. It was
to make everybody look
funny.
like they were naked, but they weren't. And then it's like everyone's like reacting like, "Oh my god, she looks naked," and she's like, "I'm not naked. Like, look away." And so it was clever fan service. So I can get behind fan service when it's done well. But Konosuba, I felt it was just lazy and actually kind of gross.
I might just be a pretty basic bitch when it comes to comedy, but if it makes me laugh, I'm pretty good. It made me laugh, so I'm good.
Oh, that does sound pretty
well,
basic.
And that's the thing,
basic
though.
as fuck.
What
like,
casual?
The thing is that it didn't make me laugh.
Well, you just need to get more basic.
I mean, humor's subjective. Yeah, you just need to get
get
good.
good stuff.
Get
good.
ungood. Get less good.
Get bad.
Get fewer good.
Be bad.
Is that a good enough transition to the next one, or is that just too degrading?
No, I think we could go on.
Well, we were talking about how Konosuba was a parody, so it makes sense to talk about the original
I think
work.
it actually parodied, yeah.
Yeah, with ReZero, which was the hit of the year, I think, in terms of popularity and bringing people to watch anime.
Definitely biggest
and
of the
just
year.
the reach it had on the internet. Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
I don't know how much ReZero got to non-anime watchers, like the way One Punch Man or Attack on Titan or Sword Art did.
oh no! I definitely heard from a lot of people who didn't watch much anime who were watching ReZero.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I think we can see with numbers that it definitely reached a lot of people who weren't there before. I'm just not sure if it was like the crossover from like not anime watchers to
like
anime
I felt like the most it hit was already existing casual anime watchers. I didn't feel like it reached out as much as like Attack on Titan did.
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't the level of Attack on Titan or One Punch Man, but you're talking about like the two most popular anime.
It was
that
at least
reached
that
out
for
to
the year.
most people.
It was at least that one
exactly.
for the year. But yeah, so what about ReZero? Let's go.
I mean,
I thought it was alright.
It was a ride. It was a fun ride for what it wanted to do.
I never knew what was going to happen next. I was always kind of surprised what was going to happen.
I think for what it wanted to do, like, it's not a show that's like trying to do something against the grain, right? Like Grimgar is trying to do something against the grain with Reborn in Another World. Konosuba is trying to do something against the grain, but ReZero like took the genre and like tried to do it as best as it could within it.
Kind of added its own.
Kind of like Sword Art.
I'll ask you guys.
Kind of like Sword Art Online, but more to, I guess, the darker tone.
Yeah.
I'll ask you guys, what do you guys think about the darker tone and Subaru's character as a whole? Because I've seen a lot of like polarizing responses to the dark tone that ReZero adapted as the story went on, and Subaru's character, who's been somewhat controversial amongst people who watched it.
Yeah, a lot of people hated Subaru. I can't say I cared for him either, but I feel like I wasn't supposed to.
But then,
I think that's a good way to put it, Smurf.
Yeah, I think he was pretty interesting. I think it's tough because I remember this. I think this is like probably the most ridiculous thing I heard about ReZero, and I heard a lot of ridiculous things. But this is someone said we take our MCs for granted, and ReZero has shown us that we can't take our MCs for granted by making Subaru be an unlikable guy. And I think that is like, yeah, I think that's a pretty ridiculous statement. Take that in a positive and negative way.
I don't know. I mean,
but
I would say that like we've already had characters that I thought fit that better.
I would agree, which I don't think ReZero made me take my MCs for granted, but I think it was kind of interesting to see like how they changed. I don't know if I'd call Subaru like a really like deep, well-written character. I thought he like changed.
But Shaw, he was able to lift the table when he was in need. That's ridiculous.
So much power.
That's not a good written
Terrible power
character.
scaling. Also, we gotta address the fan art elephant in the room about Rem.
Oh gosh.
What about Rem?
Do we gotta talk about that now? Because the thing about Rem is so one of the things that really interested me about ReZero was the sudden popularity of Ren, and to an extent, I guess, the popularity of Megumin. Like, when I was watching Konosuba going on, I did not expect Megumin to gain that level of popularity. And same thing with Rem. I mean, like, she's, for me, was an entirely forgettable character for, like, the first 10, 12 episodes.
I think it's more understandable with Megumin. She stole the show in Konosuba for me.
Not seen.
So I was like, oh, like, before she even became, like, a big meme, I thought she was, like, the best character of the season, basically. Well, I don't know if I'd say that. I can't think of too many other characters in the season, but I know I loved Megumin. But with Rem, it was just like it was like, oh yeah, she has blue hair, yeah, she looks pretty cool. I actually liked her a lot more when Ram was there too. I thought they were better.
Yeah,
they were really good together. But her by herself was just like, yeah, like
I think
I don't know.
Well,
and then,
I understand the Rem obsession. Like, I understand the Rem thing. I don't know if I agree with it, but two of the bigger episodes for the whole year were from Raise.
15 and
18 were both Rem focused, and you can really see, like, how everyone got so attached to Rem. Like, first you get 15 with the whole epitome of self-sacrifice Twister meme, and then you get 18 where it's like, you could call it Confession of the Year. I think there was, like, a lot of authenticity in that confession. I think
Confession
it was very
of the
painful.
Year? That is...
How can you pass over Boku no
big
Hero
words.
Academia like that?
I think I'm not calling it Confession of the Year because I think it was the
Please.
best confession. I'm saying it's like the biggest confession. Like, that was like a big confession that everyone would think of.
I see what you're
Like,
saying.
we're talking about like the biggest one. Was it like the best one? Like, did I feel connected to that confession? At the time I did, but I don't know if I'd say it's the best one. But it definitely caused a lot of emotions. Like, the fact that we have ReZero, which is like an action-based show with a lot of dark shit, and one of the most memorable moments is a confession, I think says a lot for it.
Also, like, they were actively trying not to make that confession happen.
Yes.
But to talk about more of that, I think we'd have to dive into spoilers.
Yeah.
But I really, the thing about ReZero is this. I feel like if you took it, I mean, it's impossible to talk about this, right? But if we watched it in a vacuum, like with no hype, with no floods of fan art, with no floods of reactions from people and memes and all that, I think I would watch it and I'd be like, this is like a fun show. Like, this did a lot of things well. I wish it had touched a little more on these certain things. And I felt like the way it ended might not have been the best way, but I mean, they ran out of source material on time, as far as the light novels are concerned, not with the web novels. But it was like a very solid anime. And I think the best thing it did was kind of grow the medium, because it was incredibly popular. It brought a whole ton of people to the subreddit. It brought a whole another wave of people. And I know a lot of people, I mean, we didn't mention it before, but Boku ga inai machi, Boku dake ga inai machi, Erased was also pretty popular and casual, and that kind of like helped flow, I guess, into ReZero. And it was also big because ReZero was a 2-core show. And we haven't had one of those like big ones in a while. Like, One Punch Man was a 1-core show, and Attack on Titan was 2 cores, but that was what, 2012?
Yeah,
it's already 5 years ago now. 2013. Okay, so it's also already been a couple years now. But it was nice to see like the continued support it had throughout.
Agreed.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that it maintained that. I was expecting it to die off after a core, and then people jump onto the whatever was the big show from Summer. But I think Summer not having a big show contributed to that a lot.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a good point to make.
But yeah, so I guess that's ReZero.
Yeah. Well, there was another show later this year that did revolve around more romance than dark things, and that was
made history.
Yuri on Ice making history.
I was gonna make that pun, but I still wanted to make the return back from zero pun, but that didn't happen. But yeah. Speaking of shows that grabbed in a lot of people from, the not anime sphere, we have Yuri on Ice did a really surprising job with capturing the attention of people like figure skaters, pro figure skaters. A lot of people on Twitter, just, a lot of crossover come in. We saw that recently. I think they sold the first volume sold like 50,000
Whew.
BDs.
Yeah, I think it was close to K-on's record for one of the biggest opening Blu-ray copies for Volume 1.
Yeah,
Wow,
so to
that's
say Yuri on Ice was like pretty big, to say the least. But yeah, so for the actual show, Yuri on Ice was a pretty interesting experience. I remember I watched it, and you know, I know me and Fate were talking about this. You know, we were watching it, and you know, I would have to admit, like at first, I liked it and I thought it was really fun, but I was like very iffy on like the character interactions. I thought it had a bit of that like Full Metal Alchemist syndrome where people complain about the chibi humor, and it was tough to relate to that at first. But then like as the show went on, I really like grew more attached to everyone, and it was just like such a happy show. I think it's weird to say that because it's not like, you know, it's not like a cute girls doing cute things show where you go to watch it to feel relaxed. Like it's not that type of show. But it just had such, like, positivity throughout the show that I'd watch an episode and I'd feel so much happier afterwards. So I think a lot of that positivity was felt, you know, in discussion threads when people were watching it, when they were talking about it. And I think sometimes people were praising it for things that it didn't really, not deserve, but, like, didn't warrant that kind of praise. Like, I think sometimes the animation and production values were getting praised when they were really stretching it thin. But, you know, like, after the second episode, you know, we didn't really see great animation value until the last episode, but it was still kind of getting praised for having great animation, which kind of didn't warrant that.
One of the biggest, like, pet peeves of mine was someone put up the comparison between, like, episode 1's OP and the episode 11 OP.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, look at how much resources they put in to make it better. It was like, no, they were just, like, really behind the ball and did not get anything done on time.
Yeah.
Which is why the episode 11 OP looks so much better than the first one.
Yeah, like,
because they were way behind schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that because, you know, like, shit happens, but also, you know, don't praise it for animation when it's not worth praising, you know? Like, shit's going down, don't pretend it isn't. But, you know, it did some really interesting things. You know, the relationship between Yuri and Victor, you know, it caused a lot of discussion in mostly positive ways from what I've seen. I think it was a really great show to watch airing. It was fun. I don't think it was like it's not one of my like all-time favorites. I really enjoyed it. I gave it an 8. But you know, I think there's some criticism that is fair to it that I don't think it got while it was airing.
Yeah, for me, Sha, I would say I would agree with you with the first half of your sentiments. Being not able to really enjoy the chibi humor aspects. But I will say, and full disclosure, I was torn between giving it a 6 and a 7. It felt like more than trying to do a story, it had a checklist of, hey, these are things like a romance should have. And it went like step to step to step without like building up relationships in between. So it kind of felt artificial to me, especially the ending. Was not a fan of how it ended. I kind of felt, and I think someone said this in a thread or somewhere, that they didn't like the ending because it felt like they realized how big it was and how many copies they were selling, so they were like, oh crap, we gotta make this like an open ending so we can make a second season.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true because episodes are usually done weeks in advance and like you can't do everything last minute, so... And
even if there is a second season, you can't say that. You can't be like, well, they're doing a second season, so, I mean... Looking at this, the ending was somewhat of a letdown. I think it lost steam in episodes 11 and 12, but I wouldn't say it was like... I wasn't disappointed by the ending. I just wasn't like as thrilled with the ending as I could have been.
I don't know if I would say I was disappointed. I never had much high expectations for it while I was watching it. But it was a pleasant watch. At times it looked really nice. It was really interesting, like certain close-up shots of the ice skating when they were just focusing on the blades would look really good, but then they would pan out to like the actual figures and I'd be like, whoa,
noodle people,
the quality disparity on this looks so bad.
Yeah. And then you have a lot of people kind of defending it by saying, well, like, oh, well, it's gonna look well on the Blu-rays, and it's like, okay, that's great, but it doesn't look good now. So
exactly,
that's a dumb argument. Like it'll look better on the Blu-rays. I don't like.
Yeah, like of course it'll look good on the Blu-rays. Like,
it should look good in the first place.
Literally everything looks good on the Blu-rays.
Maybe the crew should just get good.
Maybe, yeah, but I think it's like.
I think one of the biggest praises of Kyoto Animation as a studio is that their Blu-rays look exactly like their TV production. there's like no differences there. The only differences I can remember they've made in the Blu-rays is in Hyoka. They had a couple of scenes airing where the credits would roll in the opening scenes and they didn't have the OP. And what they did is basically just like added the OP and ED to have the credits there, so the credits didn't overlap over any scenes.
Okay, so like TV, they just cut out the song to make it so that it fit the time slot, and then Blu-ray they don't have to worry about that, so they just made it its own. So they basically just made it a longer episode.
Exactly, with the OP and ED.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, and
yeah.
So I think it's like overall thoughts on Yuri on Ice is it's not. I mean, it might be making history with sales, and I think it's like a really fun watch, but it's definitely not like a groundbreaking show. Except, I mean, I think you could argue if it gets a second season, if we see what happens with Victor and Yuri's relationship, it could be groundbreaking in that instance, but as of now, it's kind of inconclusive on that. So,
yeah, even there, if we want to talk about like because it's not the first show to talk about like same-sex relationships.
It's not the first
You know,
show,
it's
and
not
it's
like-
probably not the best show. I haven't seen much. I can't speak from experience on that, so I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say it's not the best. But I would say it was groundbreaking in that, like, a mainstream show had that. You know, it's not like, you know, the Fujo show in the corner over there addressing it. It was a mainstream show that addressed it. And a mainstream show that was not, like, hiding. It wasn't really pretending to not have like those tones, and it was still getting popular for that. So I think that's kind of worth applause. Like, that made me happy to see.
Right. Yeah, we had that in Sailor Moon, but that wasn't present in the English dub. But
they were
that was also
they were cousins in the English dub.
right instead of lovers. But that was also a side couple, not the main pair.
Yeah.
So that's a good point, Shaw. That is a good point. So
So I guess we can move on to another. I guess we move on to our next show. We'll go to Boku no Hero Academia, which
Smurf, did you like this show?
I freaking
heard you
loved
hated
this
it,
show.
actually.
Shut up, Becker. I loved this show.
Hey, take it easy.
So
Becker hasn't said anything in so long. Let him speak.
No, I just wanted to say that.
Let him lie. So I'm actually really sad I didn't get to talk about this on our spring retrospective because I was in the middle of moving halfway across the country.
Excuses. You just didn't watch it.
And so you guys all got to record a podcast while I wasn't available and talk about how nobody liked this show. And I listened to the podcast and just like, I liked it. I wish I could have said I liked it.
Smurf, we misspoke. We meant no one important liked it.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Boo.
JK.
But no, I thought the show was pretty fantastic. When I was younger, I loved the movie called Sky High, which is a Disney movie.
Oh, Sky with War and Peace.
War and Peace.
War and Peace.
And so Boku no Hero Academia is basically an anime version of Sky High.
Yeah, I would
they're
agree.
super similar. And so I loved that, and so I watched Boku no Hero, and it just basically sold me like from the very beginning. Like, it was a 10 out of 10 for me from episode 1. And it's still a 10 out of 10 for me, and I'm caught up to the manga.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty great. So
Pretty good.
pretty good. It does a lot of
What do you
things
mean
that,
pretty good?
that I like in shonen, where I love when shows have a wide variety of unique powers among a cast of characters, which it definitely does. And I also like when they tend to break away from like traditional like teams. So like Naruto is like always Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. It's like that's the team. They work together like all the time. I know they get away from that eventually, like, but like I mean, I watched like the first 75 episodes and it's just the 3 like the whole time. Fairy Tail is like the main 4 like all the time.
Oh god,
like,
Fairy Tail.
So what I really liked about Boku no Hero was even Arc 1, they did a team that you wouldn't have expected. Like they teamed him up with like that frog girl and Mineta.
The ball dude.
Yeah. And so
But isn't it like the classroom kind of a team as well? Like they're always in the same class, with the same classmates.
yeah. But like, I mean, you can say that about Fairy Tail. Like, they're always the same guild, but I like when the teams are different. Than
Honestly,
normal.
though, talking about like the first cohort of anime that we've seen, like, have we really gotten enough to establish teams? I think like we haven't really established a team and a set team.
All the stuff in the classrooms was always Deku, Uraraka, and Ida. and they were always like a trio that were always hanging out together. And then
I thought it was Deku, Uraraka, and Mineta, the bald dude.
That's what they.
no, it was Ida, the guy with the glasses and
Yeah,
super
the classroom
speed.
rep, but like it felt like Deku was really close with the bald dude.
Yeah,
For me.
but like we didn't really get to cover enough content in the anime for this year to really feel like there's an established team. Like they get in the classroom,
Yeah.
then they have their test, and then they have the first fight.
Like another.
But it doesn't
yeah.
feel like anything is established yet because we really haven't seen enough. Like
I felt that way when I watched the anime before I'd read the manga. So
I'm cool with that. I just feel like thinking back to it, it doesn't feel like they were as established. I'm sure they will be more, but it didn't feel like
I guess
they switched it up pretty soon, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure if it was like, oh, this is an established team. I'm not sure though. But continue.
I don't know. I felt like they were established from the beginning. Like, before I read the manga, just watching the anime, like they immediately gravitated towards each other when they all got into the school, and I was like, okay, I'm like, okay, that's the team then, I guess. And then like immediately, like first encounter, they're like all separated from each other. I was like, oh wow, okay, that's like not what I expected at all. I mean, good job, show. You surprised me.
You did it.
You
You
did
didn't.
Gold star. You finished Comet Lucifer,
I
Yeah.
didn't even start Comet Lucifer.
Yeah.
but
So
the show did.
So do you guys have anything to say about it?
I will say
Yeah,
something very
so-
nice. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Shaw, go.
I will say something very nice because I'm so toxic about this to Smurf all the time. I love the OST so much. After
Oh, it's so good.
when the OST came out, I've listened to it like so many times. You Say Run, and then the other one,
Hero
I forget.
A.
Hero A. There's another one too. Like You Say Run,
There is
Hero
another
A,
one.
You Be Hero or something. Like You Can
Those
Be
are
a
the two.
Hero.
Those are the two that I listen to. I'm not really.
Those are great. I love those songs so much. I listen to them. They're on my playlist. I think they did a fantastic job with the OST.
The OP is good, I think, too. I like the OP a lot. The
No,
J.
I'm just ending it at OST.
Oh, okay.
Shaw, you're the
So
best.
no,
Okay.
okay, Fate.
I'm not nearly as toxic about this to Smurf on the usual. So I will say my unbridled thoughts. As someone who was told repeatedly that Boku no Hero Academia was the next Naruto, and as someone who grew up with Naruto as a young boy, as a shonen, reading it in Shonen
Oh my
Jump,
God.
I was like, oh, Boku no Hero Academia is the next Naruto, eh? That must mean it's pretty good, pretty good indeed. So I was reading it, and I would ask people like, hey, like, I'm not really enjoying it right now. When does it get good?
Oh yeah, Smurf
And
one
being
doesn't
like-
get good. Like
Yeah, they'd be like 10 chapters from where you are now. And then I'd be like, I'm all caught up though. So I am
Oh,
I am
Way.
still all caught up with the manga. I keep up with it weekly just so people cannot tell me it gets better in the next 10 chapters again. It's literally the only reason I read it, because I did not find the anime really that entertaining.
No.
I thought the pacing was really awful.
pretty slow.
I mean,
yeah.
oh gosh,
The first
they were
core-
going like a chapter an episode.
The first core was 21 chapters.
Yeah, for 13
Wow.
episodes, that's ridiculous. And those last couple of episodes like sped through a couple of chapters. Like I want to say
In a
like the
good way.
first 4 episodes yeah, in a good way. It did finish strong, but I want to say like the first 3-4 episodes covered like 2 chapters, maybe 2-3 chapters,
Yeah.
maybe in the first 4 episodes.
And they were doing
It
flashbacks
felt
in like
really
episode
slow.
2.
Oh,
So like episode
they were doing
1.
flashbacks of like in episode 3 to like, oh, this happened in episode 2 and it happened in episode 1. They would show like the same flashbacks of Deku crying.
Yeah.
Deku crying is
It's
my
just,
favorite
like,
meme.
Wade. You have a 3x3 of Deku
I
crying.
have the best
It's my
Deku
favorite
tears.
3x3.
I have many pictures of Deku crying. This is my fetish,
Oh my god.
and I have all the pictures of it. So,
It just, I mean, yes, the fight scenes at the end were very nice. All Might versus
Nomu.
yes, was a really good fight at the end. The last like 2-3 episodes I thought like kind of salvaged it in my eyes. I think I gave it a 5 or a 6. I can see why it had that huge casual appeal, especially in the Western.
Oh, yeah,
Audience,
it's definitely like a Western.
Just to say,
superhero.
like, I don't mean casual in like a negative tone. I'm just
No,
like, using
yeah,
it
I
to
know what you mean.
kind of describe it. But yeah, with like the huge emphasis on like the Marvel universe, the TDC
Yeah,
universe with
it's very
superheroes,
reminiscent of
I-
Western superhero comics.
I actually think it's a disadvantage for me and for a lot of other people who like, because I also grew up a huge Marvel fan. Like, I've been collecting Spider-Man comics since I was like 6-7 years old. And all these tropes felt so redundant to me. But if you think about it, like, one of the things like Boku no Hero Academia does well is it focuses so much on Western tropes that aren't really there for traditional, like, Japanese manga. Like, they focus more, as you were saying, Smurf, a lot of, like, you know, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, they all follow the same tropes. Boku no Hero Academia goes a different track. It's a more Western track, something that we might be personally more familiar with, but it's very different than what Japanese people would traditionally be accustomed to. So in that sense, it's like nice to them because it's something fresh on the shonen genre, and to this hemisphere, it's very nice because it's something that people can easily relate to. And if you're trying to get into anime for the first time, or if you're kind of like on the surface for it, it's something that's easily relatable to, and it's not like Monster Musume or something where you're like going way off the deep end from the first episode.
Very relatable. That show
That's a great-
is,
That's a great point.
I
Babe.
also have monster girls living in my house.
I mean, I'd be
Dude,
surprised
nice.
if people didn't.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, that's a good point, and I think it also brought the some of the classic anime tropes that we really like really making the MC relatable, or like tempting to really humanize them, and that's something we don't really get in a lot of superhero shows. You know, like Batman and Superman. I wouldn't necessarily call them
I wouldn't
super
call that
relatable.
relatable at all.
Yeah, so like that's a cool like twist that like kind of merging the two of like, you know, the Japanese anime tropes we get of, you know, really trying to humanize the All Might character, like Deku. We try and humanize people, but then we also show how badass they can be as superheroes. So
Yeah.
it's a cool mix.
Right.
Yeah, I think that I get
It was.
upset with Boku no Hero is when people say that it's like people are like, oh, I don't really like shonen. People are like, well, Boku no Hero is not a normal shonen, so you should definitely watch
That's
it.
the worst argument ever.
And I'm like, it
everyone
Literally
needs to...
Hunter x Hunter.
I'm like,
Dave,
it's,
Hunter x Hunter is not a generic shonen.
I need this meme to die of like blank shonen that does generic shonen tropes is not a typical shonen. We need to kill this meme.
it is. I mean,
God.
it is a
Kill
typical
it.
shonen. I'll be the first to say it is a typical shonen, but I think
Shonen
And that's not a bad thing.
I think it executes the
it's
shonen
not.
tropes like spectacularly. Like it knows what it's doing.
I think that's
and
a very-
decides
yeah.
to just do it as best.
And
it
let's not
can.
pretend it's something it's not. Let's not pretend it's changing the game in a way we've never seen. It's not deconstructing shonen. Let's not pretend that. And that's not a negative thing to say. You know,
Yeah,
you don't
I
need
think
to
it's fine.
deconstruct
Exactly.
shonen to be a good show. You should
Yeah,
just watch it.
If
I think
you
that's a strength.
if you really like shonen, you'll like the show. And Smurf, you love JoJo, you love those kind of shows,
Yep.
so it stands to reason why you like Boku no Hero so
Yeah,
much.
I mean, I loved Hunter x Hunter, so like when when I first started watching anime was actually right around the time that Boku no Hero manga started, and people were saying it's like, oh, this manga is like it's going to be the next big Shonen Jump, like it's the next Hunter x Hunter. Even so much as the main character with the black hair with the green highlights, wearing all green, like it's like this is the
That's
next.
truly what makes Hunter x Hunter its
The next Hunter
its
x Hunter.
popularity.
Hunter
is
x Hunter, it's the green.
It's
hot pants.
It's the
Yu Yu
fishing.
Hakusho, it was the green with the black with the green. Yeah, you know.
This
it's
is
all-
this is what shonens come down to. If you don't like the color green, you should skip shonens, and that's
You're
pretty much it.
done.
You're done.
So I always heard
Yo,
it called like the next Hunter x
Naruto
Hunter.
has green with Rock Lee.
Yeah, there you go.
We've-
Well, he's
so
he's
this-
also the best character, so.
So that means Full Metal Alchemist isn't a typical shonen because Ed wears red.
Yeah,
We've just
Yeah, but you have Ling and you have Greed.
we just deconstructed shonen. We did it. We did it. Let it. We done.
Well, alchemy is the art of deconstructing, then
Oh my
reconstructing.
god.
That's
Spoilers. Spoilers.
No, I don't think it's spoilers.
How is that
That's not
spoilers?
spoilers.
John? That's the first thing they
That's like
talk
literally
about
the
in
first
show.
line of the show.
Alchemy, the art
Uh,
for what could equal the worth of a human soul.
so yeah, so that was
And then
Boku no
again,
Hero
it's-
Academia. So we can go into another show, I guess. I think we're done talking about this.
Yeah.
Another shonen.
Another shonen.
Another one.
Another one. So,
How's business?
so I guess I'll go first. This is we kind of
Alright.
talked about our favorite 5 that were like unique to this year, but then this is like other favorites. I am a huge fan of Haikyuu, which I'm really happy that it came out with the carryover second season and then the third season this year. I follow the manga. Fate got me into it. It's like his worst mistake of all time. Like it's pretty great show. It's your classic, not your typical sports anime. You can use that line, only it is your favorite sports anime. Because it is your typical sports anime that just really executes all the tropes really well.
Also
And
Shonen
it's-
Jump.
Also Shonen Jump. So, Yeah, I think a lot of people have at least heard of Haikyuu, but this is where like season 2 and then season 3 were just really when the show was getting like pretty hype. Like it was getting into the hype parts for the actual story. We had some pretty cool character development. I won't say which characters for who because that's kind of spoilers. And you know, just really appreciate Haikyuu being like consistently great across each episode. Like sometimes you have like it starts slow and gets better, or like you have it like a real inconsistency in quality from week to week. But I could say like, you know, I'd put Haikyuu on and I knew something great was going to happen. So that makes it pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't really know what Haikyuu was for the longest time. I mean, I kind of knew it was about volleyball, not basketball. That's the other sports show name.
Kuroko.
That defies all tropes. But I didn't really know what Haikyuu was. I was like, yeah, it's a show about a bunch of elves that play volleyball, like whatever.
Yeah, because their ears are pony.
Their ears are like
I can
super
never
pony.
unsee the ears, and I hate you, Smurf, for like.
Wait,
showing me
what?
that,
I
like-
see.
Wait,
You
what?
can-
No, I'm gonna
Ruined the
forget you
series
ever
for
said
me.
this.
This is why I haven't started season 2 yet, is because of the
Thanks,
ears.
Chris.
Yeah, I'm gonna just flash a picture of their ears on screen if I can figure out how to do that. Yeah, I didn't really know what it was, and like about halfway into season 2, I decided to go. I should like pick it. Maybe not halfway into season 2. Maybe like 3/4 of the way into season 2. I decided to pick it up and see what all the hype was about, and
I don't even.
I freaking loved it. It was amazing. I went through like the whole thing in like a week, and then I hit the mark where it's like now I have to wait for the last 6 episodes airing. Like
Oh, no.
after binging it, and I have to watch the rest of it airing. But it was, yeah, actually really good. I didn't expect to have any kind of character development, and I didn't expect the matches to be like super hyped like they were.
There's that one video where it's like volleyball anime. Who wants to watch an anime about volleyball?
Who cares about
And, like,
volleyball?
then it's yeah. And then it gets like super intense about it. That was kind of me. I forget who told me to watch Haikyuu. I think people were just saying it was really good, so I started watching like early on when it was airing in season 2, and then I made the biggest mistake of my life telling Shaw to watch it.
Yeah, the worst mistake.
I had some friends that
Viewers.
that were watching it as it aired, that had been watching it airing. Even for some friends that have been
Yeah, I think-
that watched season 1 airing, and then like
I think Amethyst might have been the one to tell me to watch it.
Amethyst was the one who told me to watch it.
because she's been watching it since it was
yeah,
airing.
she started season 1.
And I think EMP time, which some of you may know, was watching and airing too.
Yeah, I a couple of friends
but
of
yeah,
mine
I mean-
told me to watch it, and so I picked it up and was just like, yeah, this will be all right, I guess, you know.
It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching it to the point where I cosplayed as Kageyama.
Yeah,
to
you got noticed.
Oh, shit,
New York
really?
Comic
You
Con.
got noticed at New York
Yeah.
Comic Con. They took
I
a
did.
picture of him.
They noticed me.
You got
They
someone
noticed
took
me.
a picture of
noticed
him.
you.
Which one of the big people we went to? I'm not going to say who. Like one of the big panels. They like took a picture of Fate, and he's like on their website now.
Wow.
Pretty dank.
Whoa.
And then,
low-key doxing.
Yeah,
It
low-key
was subtle,
doxing.
but you don't know now. You don't even know.
But now I do.
And then I also got recognized because I went up to like get a prize or something, and like someone was like, "You're Fate Steel Taylor. You're the guy who's always on our anime."
Oh wow, you got
it was
seriously
It was
doxed.
P Dank Con. It was a P Dank Con, but Haikyuu was pretty dank. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to season 4.
Season 4
So
never.
Randy, how about you? What was your favorite anime of 2016? What's an anime you want to talk about?
That would definitely be Girlish Number. Oh man, cute girls doing cute cynical idol things.
Cute
It
shitty
was
girls.
Not
fantastic.
idol, no. I'm not
No,
gonna
no,
call
they
them
were
idols.
they were marketed as
No.
voice acting idols.
Just voice actors. I just pretend
No,
the idol
no,
part
no,
didn't,
they did idol
didn't
shit,
exist.
too.
I just pretend the singing like never happened.
Swear, it's a horrible truth of the business. Accept it already.
No.
Yes. Fucking
Um,
accept it, Smurf. Jesus.
Yeah, it's it comes from my favorite author for anime, like
Origairu.
who wrote Origairu. Oh boy, there I go again mentioning it. Jeez.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Watari who wrote it, and I'm surprised about it because like it started like being written like in winter, and it got an anime in fall, and I was like, oh wow.
Oh,
Things
was it really
move
that
fast.
That was that much of a
Hi-yi.
turnaround?
Yeah, it
That's
was
crazy.
it like he had stopped writing Origairu, and then he went on to write Cadelia Code, and then he wrote Girlish Number, and I was just like, what? When did this
Man
happen?
is an absolute madman. Like, he just does not stop.
I
He
can't believe
stop
he's
this
done
Watari
this.
train.
He's too good.
Yeah, it was just out of nowhere. But the series itself was great. It was very cynical. I mean, a lot of people expected to go in a direction where he just like shit all over the industry constantly every single episode. But instead, it kind of became more of it focused more on the characters in the end, which what I expected because it is a show written by Watari, and he does I feel he does character interactions very well, along with character development. Although it kind of threw me off when how it resolved in the end, but I guess it's to be expected because life doesn't work out as perfectly as you want it. You sometimes have to suck up the shit and just deal with it and move on.
Yeah, so I kind of fell in love with the show. I don't know if I fell in love with it. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I was definitely interested the moment I heard about it when it was, hey, here's a show about voice actresses, and I was just like, I'm on board. Let's do this, because I am a big fan of I've always been a big fan of voice acting, even before I got into anime.
Like, your Avi is literally a voice actor character.
It's audio.
No, it's not audio.
Sorry,
Zuka.
it's Zuka. Yeah.
So I've always been a huge fan of voice acting, for years and years and years before I started watching anime. I'd recognize voices in games and cartoons and stuff. And so when I realized, hey, there are shows about voice actresses, I was like, this is awesome. There's characters that are actually voice actresses, and so I'm always drawn to those kind of characters. So when I saw that Girlish Number was that, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this. That's gonna be awesome. And
you should watch Sorigaseiyu. That's also a good voice actor show.
A lot of industry shows about anime creation, manga creation, voice acting. I have all sorts of different shows that I'm gonna watch this year. That's my New Year's resolution. Yeah, I was like, I'm on board. And then I found out that Chitose is actually a huge piece of shit.
She's the best piece of shit. I love it.
Smug, and I was like, this is even better.
It reminds me so much of myself. I see a little bit of myself in Chitose.
Me
Maybe I don't know
in
how
real
much that says about myself, but
See a little bit myself in you, Becker.
that's kind of gay.
That's kind of gay, actually.
But even kind of.
That's full on Brokeback Mountain gay.
It's full on free.
Slash free.
Yo, free podcast when? No joke.
But yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was really entertaining, and it had a good lesson, I think, that I thought was relatable to me.
Cool.
Same.
And that lesson
Well,
was
Becker.
Have good
that
work
you're a
ethic.
piece of shit, or
Well,
Be a piece of shit, but be that piece of shit.
it had a good message about work ethic. At least I picked up on something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I picked up on that.
I don't know if it was intentional, but that's what I got from it. So I guess that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, Becker, what show did you see a little of yourself in this year?
I don't think I saw myself in Space Patrol Luluco, but it's definitely my favorite
Or did you?
show. Other than Rakugo. Rakugo's probably going to get I don't know, probably an 8 or 9, but Space Patrol Luluco is probably one of my favorite shows of the year, with a solid 8. And so I wasn't really going to pick this show up originally. I think I picked it up halfway through the season. I saw it you can watch anime on Mal now. You have if you have a Crunchyroll account or something.
Yeah.
So I was on the Space Patrol. For some reason, I was on the Space Patrol Luluco Mal page, and I saw that you could watch it on Crunchyroll. I'm like, oh, why not? It's 14 minutes.
It's literally one button click away right now, and it's not even full length.
So I was like,
Might as well.
there's no harm in that. It's a Trigger show. I like memes. Trigger's all about the memes.
Thank memes.
Yeah. So I watched it, and I kind of fell in love with the show just from the first episode. It's fun. It's super colorful palette. There's like I said, there's memes. It's
Gotta have memes.
Oh my gosh.
it's Imaishi
The
as
guy
fuck.
next Trigger memes.
Yeah. Ooh, Triggerverse confirmed best universe, honestly.
Oh my god. When she does the guy next pose.
Oh my god, that was
I
so
cried.
fucking hype.
I cried. I was like, this is the best moment of the year.
I actually have to watch more Trigger shows to be educated enough to watch Luluco. I need to
I feel like you could still appreciate the show, but
But
there's that. It's that added layer of fuck yeah.
I need
you have seen.
I feel if you watched Kill la Kill, if you watched Gurren Lagann, you're pretty much set.
No.
And a little bit of Little Witch Academia as
if you
well.
have to watch also Inferno Cop.
But that's the one I'm waiting for.
Oh,
I gotta.
true. We've seen Inferno
We
Cop.
saw
though,
it
Shanna.
live.
We did it live.
We did it actually
Trigger
live.
literally did it live.
So I need to watch Luluco. I've seen everything Trigger's made, except for
Even the Animator Expo.
except for that was like the one exception. I didn't watch Animator Expo stuff, and I didn't finish Ninja Slayer.
What the fuck is
They don't
wrong with
reference
you?
Ninja Slayer,
Okay, I
so
didn't
you're
think so.
fine.
But like I've seen Kill la Kill. I've seen it's not Trigger, but I've seen Gurren Lagann. I've seen even like old Gainax stuff like Fulikuli,
Daigon.
Gunbuster, Abanabashi, like stuff like that. And then I've seen from Trigger. I've seen Kill la Kill. I've seen Inferno Cop. Unfortunately, I've seen like
Nichijou, whatever.
Eno Battle. I've seen Little
Eno
Witch.
Battle,
Like
yeah.
I've seen all their stuff, except I just haven't finished Ninja Slayer. So I've seen Kisniver. So I need to watch.
Oh yeah,
like,
there's a Kisniver reference at the last episode.
the last
Pretty dang.
Oh, and
the
there's
last-
a
the
Luluco
last
reference
episode-
in
Yeah,
Kisniver.
Kisniver has a Luluco reference in it.
It was
Classic
really nice.
Trigger.
So
Classic
I have
Trigger.
like a love-hate relationship with Trigger. Some of the shows I really like, some of the shows I hate. So I kind of feel like I should just watch Luluco just because I've seen like everything else they've done basically.
Luluco is actually surprisingly heartwarming.
It is.
Like it's
a
really
it's-
sweet.
really
and it's-
simple show.
and
It's
it's
got a
pretty
really
short.
simple idea, but it
It's
like
pretty-
executes it like pretty decently.
It's executed so well, and like you're like, wow, like for a moment you forget you're watching a Trigger show, and you're like, I'm watching like a really heartfelt show, and then like Luluco turns into like a space gun and like shoots people, and they're like, ah yes,
Gun
I'm watching
Morph!
Trigger.
Well, that happened with me with
Justice Gumorphy.
When I
Justice
wa-
League is
when
so
I
good.
watched Little Witch Academia 2, the Enchanted Parade or
A parade.
something like that.
Yeah, Enchanted Parade.
I forgot I was watching Trigger because it was just kind of nice and
Yeah.
pretty simple, like a pretty standard like Disney show, which is kind of what Little Witch is.
Uh-huh.
And I was watching it, and then like
Little Witch Academia does kind of feel Disney.
I always call it if Disney made Harry Potter. Like that's just what I call Little Witch, basically.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a good
And
label.
so I was watching. I'm just, like I in my mind I didn't even think it was Trigger. I was just like, yeah, this is kind of nice. And then like the final like action scene happened, and it just
The
goes
quote-unquote
and it
fight.
just goes like full Trigger. Like they're just like the camera work and like the like visual effects.
Trans-
Little Witch
transformation
Academia was
scenes.
Imaishi, right?
I don't think it was.
know.
Hold on, I can.
But it
find
just
it.
went like
We
full
have the
Trigger, and like
technology.
I said out loud, I was like, right, this is
That's
Trigger.
Trigger as
This
fuck.
is definitely
I'm triggered
Trigger.
right
I
now.
totally forgot. I'm literally triggered right now. But yeah, I thought Trigger's fun. So I think a show that kind of just makes fun of all their stuff.
Yeah, it was
It's like a
Yoshinari,
love letter to
not
itself.
Imaishi.
That's
Yeah.
like the best way to put. Best way
Yeah,
to put about.
that's the nice way to put Luluco.
That's the
Yeah.
best way to put it. It's also the greatest
Mm-hmm.
romance ever.
It's such a sweet romance. It dives into first love really well. Yeah. How about you, Smurf? What do you want to talk about? Your first love as well?
With a
Not my
certain
first
potato
love,
wedge
but it's
that's
my
fried?
but it's my true love. So JoJo had its fourth part airing this year, and it's actually my favorite part of the whole series, for manga at least. So I was like super hyped when it got announced, like to the point where I was just talking in cap.
You were like annoyingly hyped about it when I was talking to you.
Yeah,
And it
so-
was like, shut up, Smurf.
So-
I get it.
Becker, you sound so weary right now.
while talking to
know.
people online, I
Old
actually
wounds.
I left caps lock on for like 4 hours after I saw the announcement.
It's obnoxious.
Oh, you might want to see a doctor if you're on caps long for 4 hours.
It didn't last more than 4 hours though. It just
Did you
lasted
operate
like
heavy
exactly.
machinery?
Because it's part 4, so it can only be 4 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, there we go.
But I thought it was pretty great. It was really fun to watch through it as a manga reader. It's my first time watching something I've already read. So it was really fun seeing like all the
so you became one of them.
one of them.
Yeah, you
Although I like to
sort-
feel like I'm better than them. I'm like a different them.
You think you are, but in reality,
Well, you didn't
you're
really-
just
You're
as
not-
bad.
but you're
At least
not.
you didn't spoil anyone that you know of. Like, that
I
was
did-
just the...
I did spoil people, but not.
Oh, then
big
you were them.
and not on
Wow,
purpose.
you're garbage.
Okay, but
But
anyway.
I'm better. I'm not perfect, but I'm better.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean... Yeah, you can keep going, and then I'll
So-
fangirl next.
So one of my favorite things that I got to see was like all of the Easter eggs and references that David Production throws into JoJo. So like there were like the opening shot of part 4 is the anime original, and
Yeah, that was cool.
And I was like, what is? I'm like, I don't remember this at all. And then like something happens in the first scene, and I kind of screamed a little bit because I was like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" I'm like, "What a perfect intro!" And it's like totally original too.
Yeah, I think we talked a lot about like studios saving anime. Like Dean saved anime, and then Trigger saves themselves and anime via themselves. And then, but like David Productions, like the stuff they do with JoJo is just like, I was just sitting there the other day, and I was just like mind blown at how much more they do for this series. Like I actually was watching with the rewatch with you, and then I watched like half of part 4, and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna read this. Like I'm doing it live. I'm reading the manga. So then I could also source fag part 4 and hopefully not spoil people, but like get on that train of just seeing like, here's the original and here's how great the original is and it works really well. And then you see like what David Productions does to just take it to that next level. And it's like really ridiculous. Like This is not a spoiler, but in the last episode they had 3 OPs for part 4, and that makes it 7 OPs for the entire series total. They brought back every OP singer from part 1, like part 1, 2, 3, and the first 2 for 4.
So they pulled to part 3?
All of them. Yeah, both of them for part 3. Everyone who sang an OP in JoJo is singing the last OP in the last episode. Like, that's just such a cool thing. Like, that makes me so happy to hear that. That's, like, awesome. Like, if it's something you can just, like, it brings everyone together. Like, you just feel happy about that stuff. And David Production does so much of those things in spoiler-related things that it just makes, like, you can't help but, like, freak out over.
Yeah, so it's, whenever I watch a show that they, like, whenever I watch their JoJo, it's like, you can just tell that it's a studio full of people who just love JoJo. So they're like, we're going to make the best JoJo we can make. And it really shows. It definitely shows in their work. So I think they're, like, the best studio. I'm biased when I say the best studio, but because like visually,
there's good reason
and
behind it.
like visually, there are better studios out there. Like I think Trigger's a lot more creative with their stuff, and
imagine if like Trigger animated JoJo, like
it wouldn't be the same.
It would.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. I mean, Trigger
like,
has their own thing going on.
The thing I love about David is that they're just so passionate about what they do, and it comes out. So like they work. I think they work harder to make it better because they love it so much, and I think that's special.
I think it's kind of one of those shows. This might be triggering because we're talking about Trigger. I'll just say it though, since I read part 4 and saw part 4. I think it's one of those shows where they make the anime better than the source. Like it comes together better with like fights, like the fight scenes, the voice acting, like the way they can make everything more dramatic and over the top in real time. Like they make it a lot more engaging and ridiculous, and it's just comes together really well. So good shit.
Maybe one day we'll see.
TBD.
I get through my other contract. I just finished Utena, okay? Like, give me some, some slack. It was.
Did you take my
we'll do an
Revolution?
Utena podcast. We'll do an Utena.
But
it didn't.
Oh, I was gonna go back on topic.
Oh yeah, go back on topic. Yeah, do that.
I was gonna do it live and say, speaking of other studios that save anime, we're missing a really crucial one that came out that I think Fate would like to talk about because he doesn't really get to talk about them too much. But now is his chance.
This is true. A1 Pictures this year had a fantastic year.
Shelter? Fuck
Shelter saved anime. No,
they
I mean
saved
we already
anime by not making anime.
By not making anime. Oh gosh, we probably shouldn't have talked about that on the Our Anime podcast.
They just literally made SpongeBob.
No.
You made SpongeBob. No, you're SpongeBob. We talked about Rakugo. Rakugo would probably be my anime of the season. But my second would go to Hibike Euphonium Season 2 by Kyoto Animation, which I never talked about on this podcast ever before, especially not the director Yamada Naoko. It definitely felt... I'll be brief. It definitely felt different because Yamada Naoko wasn't as involved in this anime until the end, primarily because she was working on Koe no Katachi as well as the main director on that film. But I really liked it. I think the beginning parts, the beginning, I want to say 6-7 episodes, weren't quite the level as I was expecting. You know, from like the end of season 1 to there, like it touched on different arcs and different character interactions, which I really enjoyed. I know a lot of people didn't quite as much, but I really enjoyed that because it really set up the final 4-ish episodes to be really fantastic. And those 4 episodes, I think, might be my favorite of the series. Just the authenticity of the characters and how realistic everything felt and how gorgeous everything was while doing it. Like, every scene felt like a painting. And then there's that one scene late in the season where they don't do. Once again, they don't show the ED, but they have a scene playing over it. It was just like so gorgeous and so beautiful. It just felt so natural. I just fell in love with the series all over again. I really loved it. It looked fantastic. It sounded fantastic. The OST was great. The music was nice. And I think there were like three big confessions that people can talk about this year. One of them would be from Yuri on Ice. One of them would be from ReZero. And one of them would be from Hibike. And I think all three are important because they're confessions in very different ways.
They're unconventional.
They are very unconventional, but I really enjoyed Hibike's confession, and that just like moved me so much. And to me, Hibike was just such a very personal show. As someone who, regrettably or not, in high school, like high school band was my everything for 4 years. Like I lived, breathed band, and I just really loved it, and it just meant a lot to me, and it touched on all the right notes. No pun intended.
That's a good pun, though. You should have intended that.
It's kind of should be.
I should have intended that. It should have been. But yeah, and there were so many small moments in there that felt really, really real. I'm not a writer. I'm not a rapper.
Really, really real.
Really real.
Really real. It felt really real and realistic. Because they just had things that you wouldn't get unless you were in a band for that long. Yeah, really.
Yeah,
really,
I'd agree
really.
with that.
Yeah, Shaw, you were in a band for a while too.
Yeah, I did it in high school for like 4th grade to senior year of high school. But I was more of like Sleepy Senpai instead of like, Brainiac. But no, yeah, I think it's like a lot of things. There's a lot of things people talk about with TBK. Sometimes the elephant in the room of the Yuri situation. I'll just leave it at that. The great visuals. There's a lot of things to talk about, but one of the most important things I think is how human the characters feel, and they feel like some of the most human characters in anime. From like Kumiko like making weird noises every episode, to just like
I
the
love
facial
Kumiko's noises.
Like those noises.
I haven't even seen the show. I've seen like a compilation of her noises from season 1.
Oh yeah,
her noises are so great.
Yeah, she's just like, I think she's one of the better MCs we've had in a while. And it doesn't it's not a show that sacrifices the rest of the cast to make the MC look good, but she's still like a very authentic MC, and I think it's really great to have that. She's relatable without being like super like, they don't have to make her seem like, I can't think of a good word. I was just gonna say they don't have to make her like Deku, where like he's crying and shit all the time for you to relate to him, but because I can't think of adjectives. But they make her seem really relatable without making her seem just like, they don't put her down. I guess I'll leave it at that.
All right. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I was not gonna watch it because I don't like Kyoto animation. Well, I don't have anything against them. I just don't tend to like their shows. I don't really like Moe or Slice of Life that much.
Get good.
You get good.
What I already am.
And so I wasn't really gonna watch it because I was talking to I was talking to Shaw.
So comparable.
Basically the same person. They live on the same planet. That's close enough. But she was talking. She actually told me on the show. It's on my plan to watch now.
You're welcome, Fate.
Thank you.
Or not, or maybe not. Maybe not.
Well,
maybe not.
No, maybe not. You might regret
After
it.
what I've been saying about Boku no Hero Academia.
It's like, yeah, it sucks. It uses the tropes too much. Like,
but
not enough of a romantic conclusion.
But no, yeah. I mean, I think you'd like it. If you don't,
you mentioned it being like. Correct me if I get this wrong. You kind of said that it feels like a sports show. Not that it's like actiony or like super hype, but like motivations, and you kind of care for the characters to get to their reach their goals like you would in like a shonen or like a sports show.
Yeah, it has a lot of the same themes of like hard work versus talent, and then the mix of the two, like motivations for why they are playing in orchestra, like why they want to do well. A lot of that, I think that plays into it. And if you've seen sports shows like Haikyuu, like you're like very familiar with it. It's just applied to something different that's less action based. Yes.
Does that sound right, Fate?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay,
I would kind of put it as a drama slice of life more than a sports show, but definitely a lot of the themes that are present there you do see similarly in other sports shows.
Yeah, like I wouldn't call it a sports show. I'd say it just handles themes in a similar way.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what sold me on it. I was like, oh, that sounds more than just a group of middle school girls screwing around in a music club.
Hey, K-On! Is a gift. I will fight you over K-On!
Honestly, I will fight you right now. Like,
I will also fight you, but I don't really care enough right now.
So I haven't
We'll
seen
fight you
K-On!
live.
I'm not
Okay,
saying anything
Yuri.
bad about K-On! I haven't seen it. I'm just
That's
saying.
another-
K-On! is great.
That's for
That's
another
why.
day.
That's why I don't like. That's why I don't have Kyoto Animation scored very highly. Is because I don't like Moe Slice of Life.
But this is definitely not a Moe Slice of Life.
Yeah,
I'd
I
say
think
that.
it's different
Like,
enough that I can.
I don't get my cute girls cancer. Like, none of that.
Yeah.
So the girls aren't cute. Got it.
I will say, while we're talking about girls, I am only parroting what Shaw says, so don't, because I definitely
Don't
didn't
use my
see
logic
this.
against me. Don't you
I
dare.
definitely didn't notice it while I was watching, but there was like a pool beach episode. That was like a pool episode, like episode 2 or so. I'm just watching. I'm thinking. I'm talking to Shaw after the episode. I'm like, yeah, it was pretty good. And Shaw's like, wait, did you notice that for like Reina's boobs, her left boob was bigger than her right one, and like there was
This is
asymmetry.
important.
I was like, no, Shaw, I did not notice this.
I noticed
So
these
see,
things.
like Kyoto Animation putting details where they really matter.
Definitely enhancing the plot.
Like, I obviously wouldn't have given it as high of a score if they didn't make her boobs asymmetrical. Like, you just can't not do
Obviously, yeah. I mean, you have
Like,
to have the
It's-
little things.
that. Anime of the season for, like...
Well, I wouldn't say they were little things.
Well, yeah, they were
Sorry.
not. They weren't little. They were like, I'm not sure if they call them big boobs or not, but that's just something you have to find out for yourself when you get to season 2. No spoilers.
Wow, no, now I know it's in season 2. Jeez, might as well not
Well, you
watch
might
the
see her
show.
boobs in season 1. I don't remember.
Do
So
we
it's
see
completely,
boobs in
so
season one?
it's a forgettable first season. Okay, so I shouldn't even bother watching it then.
Skipped. Never had. 0 out of 0.
Just skip Hibike season 1 and go straight to Tamako love story.
That's all you got to do.
Just skip it straight to Tamako. Okay, Love Story, the movie specifically.
Yes.
All right, so I guess that's about it. Those are our favorite shows of this year.
That's the year. That's
Fate
2016.
Fate kept saying season, and it throws me off. But those are our favorite shows of the year.
damn it!
It was just
Fate.
like a really
Just a
long season.
Year is just a young. Yeah, year is just a long season.
That's
yeah.
divided into 4.
Divided into 4
The seasons divided into smaller seasons.
That's how
Oh
it
my God.
works.
I guess so.
This-
So yeah, I guess that's it. Does anyone else have anything else they want to end on?
No.
Smurf smells.
No.
Smurf does smell. He smells like purple.
Isn't
That's
that what
my-
lavender smells like?
Oh my god.
Smurf is the best purple.
I am the best
Free
purple.
podcast when.
Oh, I
I'm just
didn't
gonna
know.
keep saying this until we get a
Spread
free
that-
podcast.
Spread that on the subreddit. Tell people that I'm like, if you see anybody with purple in their name, tell them that Smurf's better.
Well, maybe.
So if I
What?
tell
But
Smurf
they
that
smell.
Smurf's
But Smurf
better,
smells though.
like,
Yeah, that's
Smurf
fine.
Smells better.
That's
or
fine. You can tell me that Smurf's better also. That's fine.
okay.
Well,
Okay,
I won't be
Free
saying.
podcast
I
when.
won't be saying Smurf smells better, but I will be saying hope everyone had a good 2016. Now on to the next year of shit.
on to the
Who's
next
2016?
On to next scene.
Oh my God.
Who's
We did this
2016?
already. We
Cincinnati.
already started with that. We can't end with it too.
one. Not with
Did
that
we?
attitude.
Yes.
We're starting from 0.
We're starting back from 0. Yes.
Dude, 0 Requiem hype.
Someone died
Kogia
in the middle.
season 3 hype. Are you
Someone
hype,
died in
mate?
the Someone died in the middle of this podcast and went back in time.
Whoa, no Yuri
That's
Yuri spoilers.
All right, so I'll end this. So
Will
thanks
you,
for
though?
listening.
Thanks for listening. Keep listening in
Subscribe.
2017.
Subscribe.
Please. Funny
Tell
guys.
us
How we
something.
made
tell
you
us how-
feel.
talk. Ask us about our driving.